Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Quadash. And double honor to the apostles of the great millstone that taught me this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is the Holy Spirit. And I'm giving also the salutation thereof towards the Yakim that are under that same spirit as well. And shalom to the Yakim Wakwafyam, all around is heeding to us, and most importantly, heeding through these lessons as we give them unto you. And it's your brother Laban once again. And in this video, I'm going to just be briefly going over this article, and I'm going to go backwards and forwards to the scriptures and back to this article. And Lord willing, this would be edifying indeed. All right. So yeah, let's get into it. The Doomsday clock is speeding up. The Doomsday clock set by the US-based magazine Bulletin of Atomic Sciences has been moved to 90 seconds to midnight. As you can already see, it's written by this guy Tyler Durden, which he writes a lot of his articles on Zero Hedge, which I believe he's the main guy of this website. And it goes as far as to read. That's the closest ever to the total nuclear doom. The global catastrophe. The clock has been set at 100 seconds since 2020. The Bulletin Science and Security Board and a group of sponsors, which includes 10 Nobel laureates, if I'm pronouncing that word correctly, have focused on Russia's war in Ukraine. The terminology as the main reason. Yet they did not bother to explain non-stop American rhetoric. The U.S. is the only nation that adopts first strike in a nuclear confrontation. And the fact that this is a U.S. proxy war against Russia with Ukraine uses cannon fodders. The Bulletin also attributes malignant designs to China, Iran, and North Korea, while mentioning only in passing that the last remaining nuclear weapons treaty between Russia and the U.S. called New START stands in jeopardy. As far as it goes, unless the two parties resume negotiations to find a base for further reduction, the treaty will expire in February 2026, which means New START means arms reduction, and that's not going to be the case at all. They're going to keep building on their arms because they're drawing closer and closer to that time where there is going to be a third world war, as the world will say it as, but we call it the third world. And it's all to do with prophecy being fulfilled. And that is going to be fulfilled, by the way, because it is a prophecy, whether people like it or not. So anyway, go as far as to read as it stands. The prospects of a U.S.-Russian negotiation on New START are less than zero. Now, cue to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov making it very clear that war against Russia is not hybrid anymore. It's almost real. And it's not almost real. It's real. Okay. Almost, in fact, means 90 seconds. So why is this all happening? Well, the reason why it's all happening, which leads me to read Jeremiah 51, is because it is. Verse 9. Let's just get to the point here. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And just to elaborate on this precept here, you've had a lot of people that desired to go to America, under this notion of living a better life. And, people that have went to America hoping that was going to be the case, they found out differently. And so, many have returned back to their country. And it's so bad that you even have Jake, they're looking to leave America to go back to Ghana during the transatlantic slave trade. And you have even Edomites as well, decides to want to leave the country to probably live in countries like England or Australia, you name it. There's a lot of people that once believed in America, and as well as nations that believed that America was going to be that place for them to prosper, decided to now leave the country, even including people that have been born in America. Not only just the other nations going back to their own country, but people that have been born and raised in America, American citizens have now, or should I say years ago, have renounced their citizenship, living in a different country. Because America is no longer a benefit even to its own citizens. A lot of Jakes, as you can see on YouTube, there's plenty of videos on YouTube on how Jake is promoting the idea of going back to Africa, and have actually went back down there, supposedly to the motherland, as they call it, which really the motherland is the land of Israel. Like, if Jake understood something and knew the truth, is that the motherland is Israel. Okay. Jake still believe in a lie that was taught to them by Esau, that the original land for so-called black people is Africa, but that's not the truth at all. Okay, that's just a false narrative that was pushed down our throats to believe in. So it reads, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven. And this is the point, and is lifted up even to the skies. Right? So that's the real reason why this is happening. Why we're drawing near to war, because America is going to be penetrated with great destruction, that is, for the sake of its sins, or her sins, which have reacheth unto heaven. I mean, we could talk about the affliction that was given unto the saints. We could talk about the robbery, the ill underhand dealings. I mean, we'll be here all day listing, going over the wickedness that America has done. And I mean, it's so now to the point that you even have Christians that have coming out, and they're considering what we've been saying, because everybody watches us. Like, you got a lot of these Christians now that are on this bandwagon of talking about how America is an evil country now. But these were the same Christians that believed that America was a great country, and it was the country of God himself. All right. Like, you got Christians that actually believed in this stuff, man. I think, if I'm correct, the evangelical Christians, if I'm correct, they believe that America is the land of is basically the land of the chosen, or it's the land of God, or something to that equivalent. If my memory serves me correctly on them. But now they're saying, they're switching their tongue, and they're saying that America is Babylon, and it's a wicked place. So where did they get this from? Where did they get this idea from? Where they've been listening to us? All of these pastors or evangelical Christians, they all have been listening to us, and now it's starting to kind of make sense to what we're saying, even though they want to disregard it. But their reality doesn't allow them to disregard this fact. Okay, it is a wicked country. Jeremiah 51:9. Once again, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. We know that America is destroyed from within economically. And the currency's basically not doing so good. People are out of work like they've ever been. But I just want to focus on the currency aspect of it. I mean, obviously, America's under a very great deal of inflation right now. And that's to do with this so-called war that's happening in Ukraine, which really Russia's already won that already. You got these NATO countries that are supposedly saying that they're helping Ukraine, but Ukraine doesn't exist. The military of Ukraine, I'm saying, doesn't exist. They've already been defeated. Now it's just NATO that's just down there, that's posing as they're Ukraine, but they're not Ukraine. It's just them that's down there that's giving Russia trouble. All right, that's what's really going on. Ukraine doesn't stand the chance of Russia, period. So all you have now is those NATO nations that are there. All right. So because of that situation has led to inflation. Just going back on my train of thought. And now what I want to talk about is the Saudis leaving the dollar. If they've haven't already left the dollar, that's going to bring the dollar even more to be weakened. And that's going to really, really spike up prices of goods to the point where they're at a verge of collapsing. because every nation has now left the dollar. And I just want to, in speaking about that, what I'll do is I'll go back to the article and read some more on that regard, and then read a different article speaking about that. So I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to finish this. Let us go, everyone, into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Verse 10, the Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord. Our power, make bright the arrows and gather the shields. And the Lord hath raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is in the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh and the vengeance of his temple. And that's why this is happening. This is why we're drawing closer and closer to war. Because ultimately through this war, America is going to have to get judged for the crimes that it's committed. And the people that have directed the American system will go into slavery, which they will survive this nuclear holocaust. They have underground bunkers to prevent that. All right. To prevent their death. Excuse me. So the Lord is going to preserve them so that they can be our slaves. And that prophecy can be fulfilled. So now let's read some more on this. It says the former British diplomat Alistair Crook has concisely explained how Russia's resilience, much in the spirit of Iranians' resilience past 4 decades ago, completely smashed the assumptions of Anglo-American intelligence. And there's no such thing as an Anglo-American. The term Anglo that the term Anglo goes back to the Anglo-Saxons, which the term Anglo means angel, and the word Saxons goes back to the term Isaac. So the term Anglo-Saxon goes back to the Israelites. The Israelites are the original Anglo-Saxons, the angelic sons of Isaac, basically. Which that goes back to the the book of Genesis 30, I believe it's 33, Genesis 34, I think it's Genesis 32 or 34, where Jacob fought the angel, and his name was later changed to Israel, which means the princess of the power. He fought with God. He didn't fight with the Most High. He fought with an angel, lowercase God. So after that, his name was later changed. The angel that he fought with changed his name to Israel, which means he is the Prince of God. Okay, and the term angel just simply means messenger. So out of Israel, you're going to have what? Messengers, the prophets. That's where the prophets come in. So the term Anglo-Saxon points to the Israelites. So anyway, let's move on. It says talk about the mother of all intel failures. In fact, even more astonishing than the non-existent Iraqis, WMDs, in the run-up to the shock in RN 2003. Anyone with a brain knew Baghdad had discontinued its weapons program already in the 1990s, and the reason why they had to carry that line through and through so that they can pretty much come down in those regions to get what they needed to get down there. That's why they carried on that line. Now the collective West committed the entire weight of its financial resource to crushing Russia, because what they did was obviously, it was all to do with oil, and it was all to do with stationing their military down there, because eventually one day, as what's this guy's name, man? Forgot the guy's name. But he reminds me of President Bush. He could be his cousin, man, because all of them dudes are all related. But he brought it out, man. He said something to the effect of some guy told him that the goal is to go into Iraq and then eventually wind up touching down with Iran. Forgot the guy's name, man. Wesley Clark. There you go, Wesley Clark. I'm going to put him on post-production. I'm going to play his video and show you what he was saying on that.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who had used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, we're going to war with Iraq. Why? He said, I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. So I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail.
Let's continue to read some more on this. It says, talks about the mother of all intel failures. In fact, even more astonishing than the non-existent Iraqi WMDs and the run-ups to shock and awe in 2003. Anyone with a brain knew Baghdad had discontinued its weapons program already in the 1990s. And I'm speaking about Baghdad. I remember years ago, they pushed this line saying that Baghdad also had weapons of mass destruction, and they needed to go down there to pretty much kill Saddam Hussein. But the reason why they killed Saddam Hussein, because Saddam Hussein didn't want to use the American dollar in exchange for the oil. All right. But rather he wanted to use the European Union currency. That's why they took him out. And as well as them going down to Iraq. As you already know what I'm going to say, as you already know, why they went into Iraq under that lie. That was told, and that was so that they can obviously get them resources in Iraq. Especially what was, found out anyway, is for that oil. Okay. That's what that was all about. So now as it reads, now the collective West committed the entire weight of its financial resource to crushing Russia in every conceivable way via financial, cultural, and psychological war, with the real military wars to follow through. And yet Russia held its ground, and now reality-based development prevails over fiction. The global South is peeling away. Now this is another topic that I want to get into now. Into a separate economic model, no longer dependent on the dollar for its trading needs, because what you have is now Brazil and Colombia, they're now linking together and doing away with, again, using the dollar. As this reads, Russia and Iran plans a gold-backed stable coin, while Brazil and Argentina seeks a shared currency. Here are 5 rising threats to the dollar's dominance of global trade. So this goes as far as to read. Hold on, wait there. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, so now going down, as it reads, it says the dollar dominance of the global trade and investment flows is facing a slew of new threats as many countries push plans to boost the use of alternative currencies. Nations from China and Russia to India and Brazil are pushing for selling more trades in non-dollar units, with plans ranging from the use of local currencies to a gold-backed stable coin and a new BRICS reserves currency. So just to fast forward, as you can see, just to simply put it, these are your nations that are getting together with their own currency. Right, you have as you can see, Argentina and Brazil, and Russia and Iran. The UAE, India looks at using rubies in non-oil trade. China pushes for the yuan to replace the dollar in oil trades. Right. Russia, China proposed a new reserve currency. So there you have it right there. So these are all primal countries that the U.S. used to do business with, but now that's no longer the case with their currency. So this is why America is in the inflation situation that it's in right now, and have been throughout the years, because throughout the years nations have been denouncing trading with the dollar. And going back to what I was saying, that's why they went down there to go take out Saddam Hussein, because he wasn't wanting to trade He didn't want to use the dollar in exchanging for the oil, but rather to use the EU currency instead. Which at the time, the American dollar was known as the the oil. Salakia, I meant to say the petrol dollar. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say from that point. So now let's read some more on this. Yeah, so as far as goes to read, and the accelerated collapse of the US dollar increasingly plunges the empire into a real existential crisis. All that hangover a South Vietnam scenario evolves in Ukraine after a rash government-led political and military purge. The cult comedian whose only role is to beg nonstop for bags of cash and loads of weapons is being progressively sidelined by the Americans. Beware of the traveling CIA directors. So that's all I'm going to read right there. So now let's get some more scriptures, because as I just read to you in Jeremiah 51 to verse 9 to verse 11, right now, America's sins have reached unto heaven, and now we're moving towards America being destroyed for the sake of their great grand of amount of sins that has been committed. All right, so it'd be reasonable for me to read this. Amos 9:8, behold, the eyes of the Lord power are upon a sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, save the Lord. And the word is shamad, which means to annihilate. And first, this did apply to our people, because our people were going way off. And that's why the Lord destroyed us the way that he did. But this can be applied to America, which is a sinful kingdom. And the Lord will destroy it from off the face of the earth. All you got to do is read prophecies like the Isaiah 13th chapter, Isaiah 34 and the likes. These are all prophecies that's going to basically take place in this reality, which the Heavenly Father is going to do all of this, as it is all written, that man's goings of the Lord, and how can a man then understand his ways? And as well as the hands of the Lord is in the heart of the king. I'm roughly paraphrasing that scripture too. And all of this is going to play out. And then through the destruction of this system, we're going to get the kingdom. That's the ultimate reason why this is going to happen, because America has to pay, and we have to get out of here. And the Lord is zealous to set up the kingdom. That's why I have to read this again. Go back to this. The Lord have brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our power, Yahweh. Make bright the arrows and gather the shields. The Lord have raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes, which the modern day Medes are your Russians today. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh and the vengeance of his temple. So there you go. So that's the righteousness of the Lord that will be displayed. Okay. So there you go. And that's why the Russians, they've been mobilizing, which goes into another prophecy, Ezekiel 38, where the Lord is going to turn them back and put hook into their jaws. In other words, they're going to be in that warlike state. And you know what's going to happen to all of those members that made up the Soviet Union? They're going to return back to that, and they're going to get the fighting. So that's all I really wanted to bring out on this video over here. Lord willing, this was exhorting and as well as edifying as well.